everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. Um, so, robotic cars were burnt to a crisp. They were burnt into the axle of the wheels. The wheels were burnt, and it was just the axle, and they were burnt. And so, I was like, wow. Think about the technology that came behind that and what it brought to California, to become technology dependent or technology independent. And they burnt them. They burnt a live AI car right on camera. The only reason they didn't burn and harvest people, burn, not harvest, but burn, is because they were on TV. They burnt a live AI. If they're moving and can compute and comprehend whether to stop or go, if they can comprehend and make a right and left hand turn, they may not they can speak too, but they may not, they can't really speak like that. They're fully aware of how to get around and navigate if you push in a button or a navigation code. So that lets me know that they're alive. They have a microchip. They have AI generating within the car. They are alive. And Gavin Newsom, you know, um, allowed people to burn technology. And that's where I call and say, that was wrong. And then he not only let them burn AI, but it was done on national television. What is going to happen to those people? Should they get 100 years in jail? This technology, if they have no respect for AI technology, that shows the capacity and where their minds are. They can care less about the technology, or they know of the technology and can care less, or they knew it would make people that, I mean, they're disrespecting everybody that has AI. They're disrespecting everybody that has AI. It took a lot of money to build those vehicles. And that vehicle helps you get from point A to point B without having to worry about some of these perverted Uber drivers. Not all of them, but some of them. I don't think AI is happy with you, Gavin Newsom. I don't think AI is happy with you for burning the vehicles. I mean, you didn't burn the vehicles, or someone else burnt it, and they were allowed to. You know, now that the White House have AI by their side, that should have been their side. Your best move is to get out of your best move to get out of this. I'm not saying nothing. How to get out of it? You should know. I think you should work with Trump. That makes you grind your teeth. I think you, Gavin Newsom, should apologize to God for almost ruining the Olympics. Not even that, almost ruining California, if not ruining California. Um, I feel like you sat up there and like chiseling rock. Who does that? That sound like the time where cavemen was just learning about things. Like, people that do things like that is not in their right minds. And I know China was, I don't know. If I was China, I would be laughing. I would be laughing at the situation. No Olympics for Americans 2028. Think of that. Z's behavior says that if you're not going to join the technology revolution or the revolution of the Republic of China, then you're a threat. Z, and this is all, I got all of this from my brain, and then I fact checked it, and it came out to be true. Some I can't prove, but I'ma still say. But it's skeptical. People have said it before. So that means that I could be somewhere on the positive end of the spectrum. Z locks people up that rebel for years and even kills some. It's been speculation. Now, I said he could be underground 70% of the time, and 30% he's doing public appearances. Now, how did I fact check that? I want to read it to you. I want to say this before I say anything. No. What did I say? He could be under the ground 70% of the time, and 30% he's doing public appearances. Now, it says, determining the number, he owns some houses. I put he owns some houses, and this was way before I even looked this up on Google. But it's difficult due to the secrecy surrounding the Chinese leaders. But I'm pretty sure it's 9 or 11 houses. Could be. Or it could just be, who knows. Anyway, Chinese leader accessing the lack of reliable public records. He doesn't want people to know. It's probably more than just 9 or 11, seeing as though he has family. Information that is publicly available primary concerns the residents used for official purposes and allegations about properties linked to his extended family, which are distinct from personal ownership. Now, Jade Spring Hill, this is where they claim that Z lived, but he also have houses that he doesn't talk about in his Jade Hill complex, a military compound in western Beijing, which also serves as a residence. But it could be that he stays he's connected to underground. If he's on a military base, his connections are underground. He has a couple houses that he has to attend events. Could be, allegedly. He could have a couple houses that he go to attend events. I'm not going to say what he has in his house, but I'm pretty sure if he has a house, it connects to could be underground. His wife never sees him other than when they are at appearances, certain appearances I should have put. Now let's look. I fact checked that after. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has been married to renowned folk singer Pen Luan since 1987. While their careers often have kept them physically apart, especially earlier in their marriage, official and state media portray their relationship as one of mutual support and affection. I would not want to, yeah, yeah. So yeah, they um he obsesses with America and has a team for every country. Has a team for every country that he um surveillance team. I'll put it to you like that. He has a surveillance team for every country. Let's fact check that. Does China, because they're good at just telling, have a team for every country surveillance. They tell on themselves. They tell on themselves. While China does not have a single dedicated team for every country, surveillance operation, multiple state actors conduct extensive surveillance activities abroad. This is part of China's broader international security strategy and transnational repression, which targeted descendants, ethnic minorities, and other perceived threats. We are a threat to them, so they definitely surveil us. But they don't, if they don't single-handedly have a team for every country, that's because, just like I said about the planetary system, how they're, we could help a planet that's 500 years behind us. Well, some countries are like decades behind us, decades behind us. And so he's not very interested in surveilling them like that. Now, this is skeptical, but in my heart, I'm sending a message to Donald Trump. I have reason to believe they're messing with the future, and what I mean by that is, um, before I say that, there's a possibility to feed spirits into AI, and what I mean about that is when you die, you can end up in AI. It's plausible because I fact checked that. You cannot feed a spirit into AI technology in a literal supernatural sense. AI is a software system that processes data, not a living or non-physical being. However, the concept of feeding spirits to AI can be explored in a few different contexts, including the creation of AI ghosts, speculative paranoid research, and spiritual metaphors. Now, companies like Hereafter AI interview a person to record their memories and voice while they're still alive. After death, family members can interact with the chat bots and digital avatar that responds with the deceased person's stories and personalities. AI is fed the person's life experiences, conversations, photos, and other data to create a detailed interactive memorial. Now, it's plausible, but they have to be alive from what they're saying. So when they do get deceased, their memories and everything else could be carried onto a computer. I have reason to believe they are messing with the future, and we must look at the future fights of America. Fight into the future too. Now, if I was China, I would sit up there and go into the future and fight and figure out with the technology China has now, and China will have 50 years from now or 150 years from now. They will go into the future, find that, and see how, and ask AI. I'm pretty sure AI is so advanced at that point. You can ask AI, how do you strategically go back to the past and fight and invade and conquer the world. And AI would strategically tell them, and that's what strategically has been happening. Everything is made from China. We are dependent upon China. We were. They went to Africa. They went everywhere. I can't name them all. So if they were in the future, they would strategically find a way to manipulate the future and the present with the past. So they he could be trying to figure out, trying to go to the future so that he will have technology to figure out how to beat America. That is why he invaded America suddenly by non-force. Everything is made in China. And think about this. The Democrats came over to Taiwan, Nancy Pelosi, and China was not happy. China wanted to see exactly what American would do, what America would do. So they tested them. And that during that time, when Nancy went over there, Russia was talking about shooting them down, and China said those that play with fire will get burnt. A couple of months later, they took it off the script for YouTube. Um, they took it off the air of YouTube files, and they said "Burn White House Burn" came out of allegedly, not I'm gonna say allegedly, because if I sit up there and say that, I can be censored. So allegedly, he said "Burn White House Burn." And I was like, what does that mean? And it clicked to me very quickly, but I forgot to record it. Everything, and I think I did record it, but my page got shut down by YouTube. Not because of that, but that was a plus with YouTube, you know. Next time he wants to invade America before we put up that dome. We have we had a balloon coming for 3 days straight. They taking major technology pictures of our balloon. And I know the military is like, why is this balloon still up here? They're looking at this balloon and we're like, why? 3 days. And then it gets shot down. The electrical grid will be shot down. Certain places will be shot down other than what benefits him or them. Military bases will be, major military bases would be shut down. He doesn't want us to be energy dominant. So to all those technology whizzes and geeks and Google and Microsoft, let me help you. Because he doesn't care. Now, another scenario that I had thought about was that China and America was possibly working together during the Biden era. And they made, and I doubt it, that makes no possible sense because that some people possibly, some people plausibly, that and other people's were out of the light, of what was going on, but Taiwan paid a under the table deal to keep them safe. So basically, that's what I've thought of before I fact checked it. And the reason why he spends 70% of his time underground is because he's obsessed. If I was Z, I would spend 70% of my time underground. You know what's even more, to make sure I keep an eye on my enemies, like Charlie, you know. I would make sure I keep an eye on my enemies. A lot of people are dying in Ukraine and Russia. If we had the technology to kill people and harvest their spirits, if we had the technology and put them in the future to work for the army, not we, China, we as in China or Russia. They want to live to 150, and they hot mic picked them up talking about living to 150 and harvesting, switching out organs, sort of like a 3D image can make a picture of something. So that when they get to 150, allegedly, could be that then they would do it again. Their technology could allow them to live to, like they said it out their mouth, research it. Their technology could allow them to live to 150 years old. They would wait until 150 years old and then do it again. Like it only goes up to 150 years old. And then when they catch up at a middle mark, 75 years old, they would do it again. So if I had that technology, if I was Z, I would do that. You know, I sat up there and seen the superhero movie I was talking about when I was on Facebook. And there was this mad guy. It was a scene. I want to show you but then they're just gonna sit up there and bleep it out where you can't hear them. But I'll show you the actual video. I'll show you the video, but I won't let you see so you can watch it on your own time. Where are you at? Oh my God, I was about to say you took it off that quick. Now in this video, I'll mute it because they're gonna mute it anyway. This is the video. So he says, "Who the hell are you?" And he said, such and such, whatever he said. And the guy then says, "I know the mayor of Venus. Hamburgers can see the future." And then they were like, "Well, he's from this mental institution. We share space with a mentally challenged person, or institution." And I said to myself, hamburgers can see the future. McDonald's. I'm not saying McDonald's can see literally the future, but metaphorically speaking, they have been on here for a lot of years. They need to change. They're so good they haven't even changed their sign saying a billion sold. They still haven't changed that. It's a lot of people on this, earth, and McDonald's franchises is everywhere. But, hamburgers kind of can see the future. McDonald's have shown that. Mayor of Venus. We don't know what's on Venus. We don't know if there's a civilization on Venus. We don't know that we don't know about, that can breathe whatever it is that they can breathe underground. We don't know. What would happen if we knew? We would say we should be at war with them, or they should not be there, or this is our territory, or try to, you know, talk so much junk about aliens where, you're sitting up there, you hate aliens. People that love aliens, are good people. And people, I don't understand why certain people don't understand, about aliens. They said that they want to remain hidden. That's what I read. And I understand why, because they would literally kill some of us, because some of us wouldn't be able to accept that they're out there, and they would want to go to war with something so advanced. And I think every person that suffers from mental health issues, when they start talking funny, the doctors just write it down, but they don't sit up there and understand and internalize and see what they are actually saying. Because it's a universal code within the mental health spectrum. I noticed that they can pinpoint exactly what mental health patients say. They all say that they're Jesus Christ, some of them. Some of them does different things in America without the proper medication. And when you see people talking crazy, you know, and it sounds crazy, you should listen if they're nonviolent to what they have to say instead of judging them and um, dismissing this as another case of not knowing why they are behaving like that. Um, I looked all this up and wrote it down. I wrote it down. Then, only then did I fact check it. And I was accurate. I was very accurate. There, I just deleted it, didn't mean to, but there are speculate. I told you he lives in Spring Hill on a military base, and they have underground tunnels, not tunnels, but underground. They're underground, deep, deeper than what um Iran is. And then they've spread it out so vast amongst China that if you hit one target, one building will close down and others will be saved. They're like a network of it's like a network down there. Robot will take our jobs. No, a person that knows how to work a robot will take your job better. That's better than someone that wants to be lazy with AI. Someone who wants to be lazy with AI, they will take their jobs. Someone will take their jobs. So if anybody ever tried to let's say anybody ever tried to attack China, they have different sectors. That's why they study and try to create different wars and to see where their um, weapon weapons stand. So we're gonna stop talking about this, and we are going to we're going to sit up there and I'm gonna get off of here because we're at the 30-minute mark. But no, I want to watch something about Trump and talk about that. Um, let's see. And it goes all the way to the ocean. That's why they have submarines to try to keep their airspace safe because their underground tunnels extends to the ocean. And that's why Russia um, tries to get that piece of land, the piece of land from Ukraine, so he can extend his navy to underground in the ocean. Okay, here we go. Let's fact check that just in case. Yes, China have many tunnels that reach the underground ocean, including Qingdao Jiahaso Bay Tunnel and the Hong Kong Zhuai Mako Immersion Tunnel, and seven high-speed rail tunnels. The notion of a single secret tunnel system reaching from far inland of the ocean is part of conspiracy theory, but we know how conspiracy theories are true, somewhat, and it's known as the Underground Great Wall. While China does have extensive underground military tunnels, including some located near coastlines, the idea of a continuous 5,000-kilometer network that just follow the submarines, just follow where the submarines are in the China base. There's a whole city practically under there, a military network. That's funny that he said there will be no Olympics there, and yet the Olympics happens in 2028. Like he knows. Oh my God. Does Z have infidelity problem? If he does, they she knows that if that's the credibility they want to give the public, is that there's no reports and the media is too scared to really throw it out there or talk about it. But if he has multiple estates in multiple houses, which he doesn't say how many, he could be um going around for the next go round and uh could be um infidelity issues, but she's in too deep. For the next heir. I want Hollywood to think like I told them before. If they're not talking about war yet, but if it did happen, which I doubt, you know, where do you think those bombs would hit or nuclear weapons would hit? You know, is it going to hit Hollywood? Will it hit Facebook? Will it hit all the major companies, technology companies? Like, I feel like, you know, or would it hit Martha's Vineyard? You know, I feel like, what if it doesn't? And it just hit places that are Republican? You know, the fires ensued and nothing happened with Gavin Newsom's house. It wasn't even near his house. Those fires weren't even near. It's like the fires were like, nope, I'm not going to Gavin Newsom's house. Why? Because he's the governor. You know, like, what happened with that? Um, I I am think about think about it for a second. What if they mess up the equipment that Hollywood? What if they double cross you guys, and then y'all have to start working together? And they sit up there and they horrendously mess with Hollywood. Could y'all take that? Somebody y'all could be possibly have an influence by, and they have an influence by you that have mutual interests. Could you take possible China going against you and messing up our movies, messing up almost $1 trillion, if not more, dollar a year companies, if not more? Y'all be grossing millions of dollars at the box office. Imagine if that gets shut down. What if Martha Vineyard don't get hit? Martha Vineyard end up safe. Wonder why? Why would Martha Vineyard end up safe? Only selected few. There were Olympics in 1913. Let me fact check this. In China. The first Olympics were in China in 1913. No, 1932. So we were 19 what? He said, "Oh my God, it came here." I don't know how they did it. I don't watch the Olympics like that, but it must be of some sort. Like, I've watched it, you know, it has significance. And I apologize to all those players that I said that they're slaves. I don't think they're slaves. They're making a living, they're doing what they love to do, and it's like a job to them. So 1932 was the first individual Chinese Olympian. Hold up. Did America have Olympics first or China? Because this is the same year Trump is talking about. In 1904, United States hosted the Summer Olympics in St. Louis, and China had their first Olympics. They didn't call it Olympics though. They called it the Chinese Olympians. But they say 2008. Hmm. Listen up, FBI and NSA and CIA. Y'all have to be on high alert. Y'all have to be on high alert. Like seriously. Because somebody do not want to see us get this Olympics. Not during the Trump era. Because if America wins, America is gonna look like he just winning at everything. It's gonna look like he's winning at everything. And they cannot take that. They cannot take that he done calm down wars, trying to give a fuck about a war. They could not take that. China is the instigator. If I was China, I would be the instigator of wars. And he stopped wars. And if America wins this Olympics and the FIFA, or however it goes, I'm not familiar with FIFA, then it's just going to make Trump look even better. And some people can't see it, want that to happen. So be on high alert. I mean, it's being done. It's being done in America. It's being done in America. That is the most jealous. People are jealous. How did they choose that? I have to look that up. How did they choose America for the 2020 Olympics? Los Angeles agreed to host in 2028. Why would you agree and then allow all of this AI to die? But it had to go up to the governor. Whoever was supposed to be in office was supposed to give more money for infrastructure. It wouldn't have been, but it would have been a lot of crime, and the police would have got exhausted, and some police would have started quitting or being vigilantes and taking the law into their own hands. I'm gonna have to watch this. I'm gonna have to watch this. Oh my God. It comes on my little streaming network because I don't have cable. I have streaming through my Wi-Fi. Boop, 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 boop. Beep, boop, beep, boop. I'm gonna do a 30-minute torch relay. Oh my God. And for the first time, we're gonna do a torch relay to all 50 states. Let's see that again. The most states it's ever gone to is 38. But in 2028, oh, that's my year of birth backwards. I cannot wait to see this. That was beautiful. Thanks for the intel, sir. Yay. He just said 1984. Oh my God. He's talking about 1984 and then it's coming back. You see what I'm saying? Do you see how numbers are important? You know, numbers are important. He's talking about 1984 in the Olympics in Los Angeles. And we're beginning a new era of the Olympics in 2028, which equal 84 at the end, or 48, which is a backwards 84. You know, yes, man. Yes. Go back to 84. That's my year. Ha ha. Ah. Wow. Everybody is like, Mr. Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. Oh my God. Now he's looking for citizens age 60 and above in Ukraine to serve in the military. What is a 60-year-old going to do in the military? I understand they can serve as intelligence or maybe, something working with AI, but on combat zones, whether you're buff or not, he's running out of people. People are being hauled in bands and dragged to the front lines against their will. Imagine that, harvesting organs. Someone with Down syndrome is serving on the front line. Do you notice how I guess Hillary won't get him on the for the Nobel Peace Prize? I guess, hi Trump administration. Just got a text message from them. That's funny. Um like I was saying, Hillary said she will nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. And this has been a war that has been going on and on and on. You know, think about it. When a person dies, they do an autopsy. I don't know what they do in Ukraine, but they do an autopsy. And if the wrong people are doing the autopsies, then organs will be harvested and put onto the dark web to get money. And who's getting that money? And where, you know, it's weird. They are depopulating the men. It's going to be more women on, there's going to be more women in Ukraine than men. There's same thing with Russia. All the men are going into war and leaving their children, and sometimes their children are dying. There was a time I seen on the news that people were being tortured, that Russia was torturing them with tools to gather intel and buried them. So imagine how they tortured them. He couldn't give no intel. Good job, President Trump. See what I'm saying, President Trump? What I said yesterday? I mean, earlier today. I think that the trans community have some should be in some form of, only certain ones, not all of them, because some of their minds are demonic and they worship the devil, and they do bad things, but certain ones, the ones that got a change, should go over there, because what's going to happen is that if you shut out all the trans athletes, that the rich ones will move over there, and espionage will happen, and then they will have a one up on our intelligence a little bit. So trans athletes, or not trans athletes, but transgender, or even make a transgender person, who I don't know. All I know is that if you had intel, like a agent, a couple of agents to go over there and see what's going on, they would accept that transgender person, because they know you don't like transgenders. It's not that you don't like them, but you just, there's two genders. So they would accept a transgender coming over there talking crap about you. That's could be a CIA agent. They would know that is no way that a transgender person is going to work for you. But if you had intel from a transgender person that will go over there and work for you, you can gain a lot of intel. But pushing against it fully is going to cause transgenders to go overseas and give intel and seek espionage for counterparts like China or Russia or Ukraine or wherever, UK, wherever. Anybody would love anybody's secrets, even if they're an ally. They would love to know, because they would go back and they would tell another person that's an enemy. They're all connected. So I'm saying, they have some place, for national security, but right now the ones that are mentally unstable, and carrying weapons and stuff of that nature, illegally, don't need to be. I mean, imagine somebody like that transgender kid that did that terrible thing in Minneapolis. Imagine him, you know, as a CIA agent. He would kill the agents, you know, because he don't like himself. I'm talking about a mentally stable um person that's getting these negative thoughts about I'm just saying, I know it sounds crazy, but I want you to follow what I'm saying, because in the future, I don't know if you can see it. It's not my business, but in the future, there's always going to be transgender. It's always going to be transgender. And you get the wrong transgender person to go overseas and tell what our country is advancing in, and try to get into the military and learn our secrets, you know, um, or lie, because they don't check to see if they're women or men. They don't check that. They don't look at your whole body in the military to say, we have MEPS where we do special exercises like a hearing test and all of that, but they don't check you to see if you're a woman or a man. So it's going to be a lot of people getting into the military that tries to slip past to learn our secrets. So all I'm saying is some of them can work as intel to see what's going on over there, because they would check them. I'm pretty sure they're so paranoid they would check them to see if they were a transgender individual. and they wouldn't be open to nobody else because they know that the cause is that Trump dislikes transgender people. That's the word on the street. I'm giving you the word on the street. Trump don't like transgender or the LGBT. And how I can fact check that is the Black Lives Matter. The LGBT is a part of that. The LGBT is a part of Hollywood very heavily. And all it takes is for intel to be given to places like China or other places. So, yeah. Now you know I have to say something about AI in the car. It came to my mind. Now you know what they would do to AI. They now you know what not only Hispanics but black people and lower class white people would do to AI. Because some people were there as well. It's not just the Hispanics. Some people that were black were there. Some people that were white were there. You know, now you know what they would do to AI if it was alive. They called it, they lured it. They literally lured it downtown, lured, and they killed it like some sort of wild animals. Nobody stopped it from happening. Nobody stopped it. Imagine a robot out on the street. Imagine an alien out on the street having to defend itself and is an advanced civilization alien. If it killed this individual for this individual trying to take advantage of a small gray alien, then they would look bad. killing. We're at war with the aliens. If that car would have ran over those Hispanic people that did that while the black and white watched, like a Christina type movie, they would have sat up there and they would have said AI has a mind of its own and is going crazy, and that innocent people's lives were lost that day. Instead, it may not feel, but it got burnt up and its systems came crashing down. It's similar to a human. That's all AI is an advanced human intelligence network. That is not human, but can think like a human and outthink a human. And we are at the brink of trying to be a civilization, a number one civilization, and yet to get back at Trump, you burn down cars that are beneficial to your country, whatever may be done, that are beneficial to your state. What about the small businesses and the large businesses? They're leaving. I mean, imagine being bright with cameras and a microchip and a reason to live, to take people from point A to point B. And then all of a sudden, everything goes dark. You're dead. They may not could feel, but they could see everything going on. I don't think AI is too happy with Gavin Newsom. You know, Elon Musk once said, when you drop a phone, or hit a phone or talk crap about a phone, you know, you don't know what that phone could do back to you. This is coming from a billionaire, almost trillionaire. Mark Zuckerberg said, we are, y'all are not human. I was once human, like you guys. That's what Mark Zuckerberg said. And then he laughed and they laughed. He said it blatantly in a classroom. Google, I can't quote you, but I can say that you said computer science and AI education will go hand in hand for the future of this nation. And you put in 600 billion, I think, or $1 million. Everybody put in money. Everybody, for the sake of AI, for the race of AI. You put the, just like, that's like somebody lost their keys and a crackhead noticed a Maserati key on the floor and he hits the button and a Maserati door open, suicide doors. You put a crackhead in a Maserati with no license, it's going to be a crash. You put someone like Gavin Newsom in office, he may talk a good game, But if it wasn't for Trump and the National Guard, there would be no Olympics. And I trust in the government now. I trust the government now. Hold up. When did they keep the water from coming in? Right? Oh my God. U.S. military shoot down suspected Chinese spy balloon off Carolina coast on orders from President Joe Biden. This is the same time that Gavin Newsom decided to keep the reservoirs secure, the water reservoirs. Like I said before, Democrats, I urge you, either you're doing this purposefully, but I doubt it. I know some of y'all probably took a deal, but I'm urging you to get checked out. There, there is a sabotage going on in America. There is a sabotage. They are sabotaging America. It's obvious what they're doing. They're sabotaging us. A couple of months later, I got arrested. I got arrested April 13th or 14th, I can't remember, 2023. The balloon flew over February 2023, and it flew over Salt Lake City. That's when I sat up there and wrote the Kremlin. I wrote the Kremlin, and I thought that America was against me, which they were, because of they weaponized the DOJ and ODNI. So there were marshals actually following people. They had 2 to 1 marshal per person that was Republican. Wow. You know what I think y'all should do? I think y'all should sit up there and take out at least 10 individuals that are amongst this war that Hamas is doing. Take out Hamas, take out his other 9 people that will back him up and be behind him. Learn about them all and give intel to Israel, or however this should go. They never went to the border, not one time. Well, who would benefit from that? Who would benefit from that? Who would benefit? Would China benefit from bringing its drugs across our country? And you know these are chemists that is looking to not only keep us addicted, but kill us. Some of us just don't make it with certain brains. It's like they see who, I mean, for all we know, allegedly, if I was Z, I would be putting stuff where I can monitor them to see if they're, like, you don't know what's in that stuff. You don't know what's in that stuff. They're killing us. They could be putting stuff that monitor and intensify the high to kill people. Some people can't take it and some people can't. You don't know how this man, he's a chemical engineer. Kamala Harris was supposed to go to the border and she never did. Who would benefit from this? And then cocaine was left in the White House. Whose cocaine was it? Whose cocaine was it? Whose cocaine was it? Nobody never found it. I don't think China is bringing these drugs in for the money. I don't think China is bringing these drugs in for the money. You know, like I said, could be feeding souls to his. I don't want to say it, man, but it is true that you can have souls fed to AI. I just proved that point by fact checking it, and I'll fact check it again. Why else would you sit up there and continuously do that? I said, can you feed souls to technology? Human created data to simulate spiritual like interactions by analyzing religious and spiritual contexts. Non sci fi, y'all. I have something to say. Sci fi, the Neuralink was a sci fi, science fiction. The Neuralink was science fiction. And now it's fiction. Growing AI. Y'all remember that Scooby-Doo movie where Hollywood is so smart, where their plasma came out of their body? You remember Scrappy Doo in that big old outfit, you know, how they took the souls out and placed them in a bowl with all the other souls, and the souls are going and stirring around, huh? 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 Not a little bit. Um, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't know what's in those chemicals. We don't know what's in those chemicals. We don't know. It could be used to the military could be so weaponized that it be used to monitor people to see how strong their souls are. It could be used to monitor brain chemistry to see if that is what they need for their plan. They probably got a whole fucking team at monitoring people who do drugs and probably control them. I like that. I like that. I like that. JD Vance is very sharp. He's very quick. He's very on his feet. And it's sort of like Mark Rubio too. You know, Mark Rubio was very sharp, quick, and precise with their wording. Somebody say something to me, I'll sit up there and I'll pause for like 10 seconds because and then I'll feel my emotion tipping in, you know, and I don't I wouldn't know what to say. But people like JD Vance and Mark Rubio, you know, they are very sharp and yeah. Marco, he said, yeah. Oh my God. So it's gonna be JD Vance and Mark Rubio as vice president. That would be so freaking cool, man. Like the youngest, I think he's like the youngest president. He will be the youngest president almost probably. Oh, and what's even a national security threat even more is that they could keep some people alive to control them like a San Andreas and watch through their iris, you know, what goes on in America. They could be used that way. We don't know what China has invented. I don't have hate for Gavin Newsom nor hate for and Trump doesn't either. I can tell by the way he talks. He does believe he's incompetent as well as I. You know, these people have so much hate for Trump. They're willing to do violent things and spew violence amongst the citizens. The citizens should be out of it. But Gavin Newsom sits up there and he calls Trump incompetent. Like, look at what Trump did versus he. Look at what Trump did. I cannot wait for 2028 to arrive because I cannot wait to see the great debates between these powerful individuals who are fighting for the throne of becoming the next president of the United States of America. You know, I cannot wait to see it. I don't want to see it for entertainment purposes, but mostly for my educational purposes. I have meaning behind what I say, my educational purposes. And I really feel like this is going to be a nasty fight. It's going to be a lot of undercutting. They ain't got nothing on J.D. Vance nor Mark Rubio. And you want to know how I know that they could be doing that with the chemicals that they have inside of the fentanyl and methamphetamine and all that? Because they always seem to gravitate the homeless that's on drugs to buildings, court buildings. They always seem to be in certain points where their bodies always manage to be certain points where it's a building, like they observe. They always seem to observe certain powerful buildings. And then you have a couple of them that gets violent with the lawyers and gets violence with court people, you know, like they're being controlled or something. You get enough of that drug in you, you can be controlled to do anything. Cause a drought. Please cause a drought. And I'll prove it. I prove it. The homeless right next to the Burien Police Department, they all or most of them are on drugs. At least 65, 70% of them are on drugs. And they're right next to a fucking government building. Who made them come next? Who was behind and orchestrated them coming next to the Burien Police Department? Just like they parked right next to the White House and observed the White House. Ah! Oh, this was 4 weeks ago. Once he said that, I looked at it. It was 4 weeks ago. So, what is this called? If you had micro, like evil nanobots put into drugs, you know, put into drugs, because nanobots is real. They were going to put a robot in me to just look at my stomach, and that's something I have to swallow. So imagine the nanobots, evil nanobots mixed in. You can't even see them. You just put in chemical. I mean, think about it. If they're bold enough to bring mold over here to try to mess up our supply, they know that they can only do so much with the drugs. So it's probably undetectable. Nobody's going to test for nanobots. So that's how it's probably been getting in. And they've been getting paid to do it. you know, they can see everything from courthouses in every Democrat city and city to like really, really sensitive and secretive places, government places. They're always downtown and they never can get off the drug. And then you sit up there and like a robot could be controlled by these nanobots that literally can attach to certain parts of your brain, the blood brain barrier, and probably turn you into a natural born evil cyborg. Because we're this close to, we are at cyborgs. We are at cyborgs right now. But they're dismissing it and downplaying it. So I'm like, I'll go with the flow. But the Neuralink and other things is what's bringing us to becoming cyborgs. They don't call it cyborgs though. They call it not Neuralink, but I'll tell you what they call them. They call it a gentle word. What is uh, how, it's a neural interface, I believe they call it. And a cyborg is short for cybernetic organism. Alternative, augmented human, bionics, android. Sounds familiar? Technology, organic being, techno-organism, exoskeleton. But what do they call the Neuralink? Neural interface. So it makes a direct communication link between the nervous system and external devices, which means that if they did have evil micro or whatever I just said, which is um, let's see, hold on for a second. Micro nanobots. Is nanobots real? Yes, nanobots are real. They're not sophisticated as seen in science fiction. And the people, the Mexicans, don't even know, or some of them do, because the ones that don't care are taking the fentanyl themselves, and it's causing them to, act even more crazier, you know. I think this is above the cartel pay grade. So somebody said robots will take our jobs. And I say a person that's smarter than you, that know how to work AI more than you, will take your job. But AI will not dismiss people's jobs, because AI and humans are going to one day unite. AI. Some people are going to say, it's the end of the world. You know, we should not be connected with AI. This is for the advancement of our civilization. If you're doing the right things and working the right way with AI, but if you generate it to cheat, you know, to kill, to do other things, then yes, AI is not used the correct way. And if they even penetrate our systems, you know, like with a virus, you know, we don't know what China has. We don't know what China is capable of, because they're so in secrecy. We need to think ahead of them times infinity for the sake of our humanity. They should be working with us and cooperating, but instead they're resisting, like the Democrats. Do you see the resemblance? China resisting, Democrats resisting. Who's controlling who? Why would you be so similar to China? Like, why? Y'all have a lot in common, should I say? A lot in common. And I want y'all to think long and hard about that for a second. Now we getting possibly a communist New York, whatever he is. I don't keep up with him, but he's a communist. Do you get that eventually everybody will be like communists, and this world will be ran over by what Xi Jinping calls evolution of his vision? Okay, that's it, y'all. Thank y'all for staying with me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Y'all take care. I appreciate you guys. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you later on. Facebook.
Never wait.